Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bob from BBD, Bobby Broadcast Delhi, with the news and some views. If what happened to the Dalit girl was not sad enough, the rape and the brutality with what she was handling, today's report is absolutely incredible. My mother begged, said, let me take her home, but UP police out in full force to cremate Hathras woman away from family. Last rites at 3 a.m. Woman's home barricaded, top officials, 200 plus police on spot. I believe there was a reprimand from the Prime Minister to the UP Chief Minister, after which I think SIT is set up, but BJP's Dalit MP says image dented, politically damaging. Well, it's not just the political image, it's the entire... India should hang its head in shame. There's another one, I mean, this is what makes it sad. We are Dalits, that's our sin. We want our children to leave. This is really, really sad. However, one note that I'm going to read on extensively basically is really what is the crux of what is happening in our society. It's a note written by Sharamshita Goptu. It says, the razor of shame. From the Hathras rape to witch hunts of women actors from Bollywood, there is a continuum. She writes, Hathras is just another name for the 8-year-old child belonging to the Gujarat parents in Jammu who was drugged, held captive, raped and killed with objectives of teaching her people a lesson. Then in August this year, a 13-year-old Dalit girl was raped and brutally murdered for defecating in a farmland in a UP village in Lakhimpur Kheri district. The Hathras gang rape murder victim was also Dalit, who, like many others before her, was preyed upon because she inhabited a universe that is violently polarized between Dalits and Thakurs in the case of Hathras. And where women's bodies stand and have forever stood as the favored sites for inflicting punishment and shame on their communities. Is that what we are all about? The despicable caste system? Is that what we are proud to be, our religion, our country? I think it's shameful. She says, the use of rape in such cases is not only premeditated but systematic and systematic. Then she says, a systemic and structured sexual violence is, however, something in our country cuts across social worlds. True. Now hear what she says, goes on to say. The ongoing public shaming of women actors by top news anchors and self-appointed vigilantes in the virtual world who bay for their blood and call to see faces rubbed in the mud is at another end of the same continuum of shaming and scarring women. Families and social groups can be effectively shamed by the disrobing, dishonoring of their women. So also in our most modern setups, we are playing out of similar misogyny. Then she says, because after all, shame is best and most effectively heaped on a community through the essence of women. And finally, we cannot segregate the Hathras tragedy from the daily battering and showing down of women which takes place before our eyes and often in the garb of exposing malpractices or immorality that are supposedly eating into the social fabric, wherein women are shamed for their lifestyle choices, their careers and their clothes, but in reality are shamed for being unapologetic for their choices or for holding on to their political views. This is the most important part. In this social journey, women are running way ahead. Boys, especially from the farming community, are being left behind. They have not been educated as shown in agitations in Gujarat of Jats and of the Marathas and of the Kupus. The women are paying a price, and I think it's time the entire society stood up. Then, like I said, no breakthrough on standoff in fifth round of India-China talks. Going nowhere. Mark my words. Then the other big news was all accused in Babri case acquitted after CBI fails to produce evidence. Where did we think this was going anyway? I wasn't really brought up on the Babri Masjid thing, so I can't really make a call on it. I am ambivalent to this whole process. But the other small thing that I read was that the court threw out the Mathura case for the temple being built there. That was at least some good news. Economically, we are going downhill. Core sector output shrinks for 6th month in August. India's core sector contracted to 8.5%. Banks desperate, as their banks go out all out with offers for credit push, as if people are going to buy if they don't have jobs, right? Take loans as if they're not going to have jobs, right? But what we really need to do is listen to what TK Arun says. Let global capital gush in. It says, Vivek Rana Deve Bau Capital recently floated a special purpose acquisition company. Snowflake, a cloud management company, walked off with biggest tech IPO in history, reaching a valuation of $70 billion. Many other IPOs are on track. There is an IPO fever raging in the US apart from COVID-19. It shows that there is a mass capital out there hungry for profitable deployment and raring to finance infrastructure and revive growth in India. If only the government shows the sense to offer its assurance as to returns and predictable tax treatment. It is also a tale of government's failure to tap into the pool of global capital, desperately seeking returns, and extra easy monetary policy forces down the returns from bonds across the developed world. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of money floating around, waiting for avenues. No returns globally. But India just is going to miss the bus again. It's just going to keep talking and talking and talking. Sitaraman doesn't probably have the bandwidth or the intellect capability to ensure that we can get this in. However, at least individually stuff is happening. Crash-rich global Ps eyeing commercial assets in India. Blackstone, Capital Land, APG Asset Management see an opportunity in a debt-laden industry. Then you have Reliance, honeypot for FDI, US funds to put another 5,500 crores into Reliance Retail Car. The other big one, Brookfield right to launch 600 million IPO. This will be India's third right after Mindspace and Embassy, both backed by Blackstone. Then, in another one, Walmart looks to join hands with Tata's. Tata's finally also realizing they need capital just like Ambani. Why let Ambani run away with the whole thing? Then, NTT to invest 2 billion in its India data center business. Data center, next big thing. Malaysia has captured so much of FDR in data centers. Of course, but there you need land, you need a lot of power, you need clean air, but India can provide it. The other interesting news I thought was India's pragmatic policy on arms procurement. By far the biggest drawback of the 30% stipulation, however, was that it made all major arms deals vulnerable to allegations of the reverse flow channel being a conduit for kickbacks disguised as subcontracts for favored firms as seen in the Rafael controversy some years ago. A clean purchase process with no offset strings attached would lower the risk of big ticket deals getting trapped in scandals at the cost of national defense. In this context, another welcome move is the flexibility they have been granted to lease military equipment such as the light transport aircraft and unmanned aerial vehicle. I think this leasing should expand further, go into big platforms like the F-35. Important. But I think this is an important move because that 30% offset, that desire to make supply chains of India was just not happening because we did not have the absorption capability of that capital. And that I know. What I said yesterday, disgusting news, rights groups halts operation in India, reported in Wall Street Journal. This is not singing right for India's credentials, folks, no matter which way you look at it. It shows us a thin-skinned, super hyper-sensitive country, which we actually are not. And as I reported a little bit on the elections analysis, Biden easily clears a low bar set by his rival. Joe Biden didn't deliver a stellar debate performance, but he largely executed his goal of providing a stable contrast to President Trump. Why is Trump having problems now besides the women? He's struggling. Trump struggles to retain edge with working class. Global impact expected of Sheikh's death to test Kuwait's neutrality. Successor must win, normalizing Israel ties if Palestine remains without own country. Kuwait is going to be the other now country in play. What we have now is finally things absolutely not kosher with Turkey. Turkey is creating just too much problem, right? So here we have US ship in Greece puts Turkey on notice, and then we have Turkey is accused of shooting down Armenian warplane. Turkey, Turkey, Turkey. Putin, Putin, Putin. She. The three destabilizers of the world. More after the break.
We believe in natural herbs and homemade remedies because the body deserves only purity. Think of natural products. Think of Sada Jeevan.
Back, folks. Now I'm going to do the final analysis on the immediate string of pearls policy that China has against us. And let's just take a look. What we have here, as you can see, I'm going to circle this in blue, is the immediate string of pearls that everybody essentially talks about. Includes Pakistan, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Bhutan and Nepal. Out of it, as you can see, what's happened is, as I said, for it to be an effective string of pearls policy, right, the string of pearls have to be totally in control and have to have value. They have to bring something to the plate. In this case, as you can see, with Maldives moved from red to green, the reason between China is this is mercantilist, this is deeply religious, this is not religious, this is a democracy, this is not a democracy. Sri Lanka is struggling, again same thing, deeply religious, not religious, mercantilist, and here you have a democracy. And of course this is communism. Here we have partly that is successful with Sri Lanka because of the autocratic democracy. Myanmar, they have a certain amount of success because it's a kind of a democracy, but not such a big democracy, right? But again, deeply religious, not deeply religious. Come to Bangladesh, deeply religious, democracy, opposite chalk and cheese. Bhutan, deeply religious, absolutely no relationship with China. Nepal, on the other hand, again, the systems are not necessarily chalk and cheese, essentially because of the communism, or the communists that have kind of hijacked a democracy in Nepal. Right? Pakistan, also not chalk and cheese, hence there's a big issue here in the going ahead in the future. As you can see, a mercantilist nation, deeply religious, not religious, democracy, and if we can just ensure that democracy somehow pushes in, right, you might start finding, or China may start finding problems. But what we need to do with all these democracies is, so far in our neighborhood, because of our past history, India has been the bad bully boy. Right? You've got to replace India with China. Later, I'll talk about Afghanistan, but just take a look at, there was an article by Rajat Pandit. China now has world's largest navy, ICE, Pak, Lanka, Myanmar bases. China now has 350 warships to US Navy's 20. This is an insignificant kind of statement, a banal statement when you compare them. Look, he says they have bases in Myanmar, they have bases in Pakistan. But look at what India has, right? India has capability to use Reuni, capability to use Diego Gracia. It has Australia now that's falling in with us. It has Indonesia that is working with us. It has its own bases. China, on the other hand, is stretched, folks. Even if they have bases here, they are stretched from all the way here, miles and miles through crazy territory. Let's say this: India's string of pearls currently against China is way better. Jai Hind.